certain things here, Sean, that are a tradition. Certain things that are a tradition. And the NBA is one of them. As far as these NBA games go, I understand where you're coming from, but I love these NBA games. I love them. You get some of the most intriguing matchups. And after all, don't a good number of NBA teams have to play the next day? I mean, think about it. December 26th, you have a boatload of NBA games. So
Yeah,
what rest is it? But what rest is it, Sean, for people that have to play, for these NBA players that have to play on December 26th anyway?
You know what? It's just that's their kind of tradition. Their tradition, the tradition is with maybe doing it the day after. I say that with holidays, I don't, with Christmas, I just don't think it's right to be able to play NBA games. I'd say Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, not right at all. They should not decide to be able to do this. And this has been kind of the reason why this is a good story, okay, and a good topic is because this has been debated for years about playing games on Christmas Day. You know what? For me, I really have not. I don't really watch the Christmas Day games. I find them to be a joke. Okay, with 5 or 6 NBA games, I'm like saying that's too many because I think
it's 5 games. I think it's 5
yeah,
games.
Yeah. Well, players, coaches, teams.
It used to be 2. Sean,
the
typically
official.
it used to be 2. It used to be 2. And I remember growing up in I grew up, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, but growing up in the 90s when the Bulls were winning championships, when NBC had the national NBA contract, and all the games were on NBC, but there were only 2 games, Sean, on NBC, not the 5 spread out over 3 networks, it seems. But back 20 years ago, 15, 20, 25 years ago, there were only 2 Christmas Day games. They would both air on NBC. I believe there would be either a 4:30 or 5 o'clock. There would be a late afternoon, early evening game. And then there would be the 8 o'clock primetime game, which when the Bulls were winning NBA championships, typically was the Chicago Bulls at home, and many years it was against the New York Knicks. But remember, 20 years ago, you used to have 2 Christmas Day games, both airing on one network, as opposed to this being all-day Christmas games. And I think I know where you're coming at here. That having all of these Christmas Day games, which are 5, takes away from just the value of really the marquee matchups. Because if you have 2 games, you're definitely going to have the marquee matchups. But if you have 5 games, you got to be questioning, geez, are these games really worth the price of admission here?
Indeed. And that's why I'm just saying that I don't really appreciate I really don't appreciate that the fact that we have to deal with this and that we have to go through 5 games. Now, maybe 2 games I can understand, but I think Christmas they should just consider abolishing it, getting rid of the games, and not having to deal with just not having to deal with the situation with playing the games, right. And not because the reason why is because I think with the families and stuff and the players, too much travel and stuff like that too. It's a time
It's like that for Thanksgiving too.
Well, with Thanksgiving,
it's probably more for Thanksgiving than it is for Christmas. Sean, I just realized. Go ahead, because I just realized something about these Christmas Day games. Speak quickly, and then I want to make this huge point. And
Thanksgiving, it's a tradition. They've been doing it for a long time. But Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, no. They need to get rid of it. They need to say, give players and give teams the day off, because 5 games is too much. Or get rid of the NBA Christmas Day games permanently. Because if I was NBA commissioner, I would say to play it safe, to play it cool. We will do 82 game season, but I'm not going to do the. I'm going to make the decision that'll be, since I'm commissioner, I would be making this decision not to play an NBA game on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, because Phil Jackson one time said, he goes, back then when I was playing, he goes, I remember we always played on Christmas Eve, then they gave us the next day off, which was Christmas Day. And that's why players and coaches want to be with their families. They want to hang out with their friends, their families, enjoy the gifts that they got. And then, of course, but now for teams that have to travel on the road, then it's like they got to celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve, which I
Right.
think really is a stupid thing to do. Or if they decide to have
That's
Christmas in a
stupid.
motel room with their kids, they could do it that way. But it's a
Yeah.
fluke. It's a fluke to have it. That's why
At least,
Thanksgiving is better, because of the
yeah. Well,
tradition.
at least Santa will not come into a hotel room in all probability. All right, Sean. Here's another reason why the NBA loves these Christmas Day games, and reason why they have five games. 10 teams
Right.
are playing.
Right.
They use it as a marketing ploy. Because if you watch these Christmas games year in and year out, and the NBA is doing this again this year, I don't quite know off the top of my head what they look like, but they're all 10 teams that play on Christmas Day have jerseys catered to Christmas Day. They have specialized Christmas jerseys. So you got one thing about the NBA, in which they're not going to eliminate these games. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a couple more games in the years to come. I doubt it, because I think they want to have 5 games for national TV purposes. I mean, if you have 7 games, you have to play them alongside a couple other games. But the NBA is using Christmas and using these players as a marketing ploy, because you have these specialized Christmas Day jerseys and people are going to see them leading up to the holiday season. Little boys that are a fan of the Golden State Warriors or the Chicago Bulls, they're going to say, Mommy, I want this for Christmas. The Bulls, the Warriors, they're going to be wearing these jerseys on Christmas Day. I want it. The NBA looks at this as a huge marketing opportunity with the jerseys. And if you take a look at team apparel, it's a huge sell. So the NBA is really they see this as a slam dunk in terms of selling Christmas Day apparel.
True, and that's what they, to sell the apparel, to let players enjoy it. But one day I see it happening where the NBA, for real, they will really get rid of these of Christmas Day games. I
don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, I one day I think it will happen, because this is a debate with NBA players that sometimes they disagree with this decision to play NBA games on Christmas Day, because everybody wants.
They signed the contract. They're making millions of dollars. The NBA, look, they're not going to care about this. They're going to care about the national TV exposure. They're going to care about, as I said, the marketing opportunity with the jerseys. Sean, I don't think you're going to see an expansion of Christmas Day games, but I think the NBA is going to be playing 5 games in the years to come, and they're going to use it, like I said here, as a marketing ploy in order to try to sell jerseys.
Yep, that is correct indeed.
You better believe that. All right. Coming up on 20 minutes till the top of the hour, he's Sean Mann. I'm Frank Sprankle. Nash Carey running the boards behind the glass this morning. We're going to come back and listen. We're going to switch gears from the NBA to the NFL. We have a Thursday night game, although a boring one. The Rams, the Buccaneers. Do we care? I guess I do. We'll get into that coming up after this commercial timeout. You're cruising down the sports drive here on Jock Journal Radio.
Time for commercials. If you listen hard enough, you might hear the subliminal messages telling you to buy whatever we're selling.
One 877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Also on the web at carsforkids.com. That's Cars with a K. We're a recognized 501c3 charity organization, so you'll receive a maximum tax deduction. What's more, you'll receive a free vacation voucher of 3 days and 2 nights.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Are you looking for the web's best sports news? Visit jockjournal.com. Sports media has lost its touch. It seems that journalists are scared to report what they see, in fear of losing access to the teams they cover. At jockjournal.com, you get inside information on the entire NFL community without all the politics or fears other writers have. That's jockjournal.com. When you need the NFL sports news, information, opinions, fantasy football, or discussions, there is only one place to go, and it's jockjournal.com.
You are listening to Jock Journal Radio. News, opinion, and discussion for all you jock stars.
Support for this show comes from Material. Material is a simple and intuitive e-commerce platform that lets you get your online store started without paying a dime. That's right. No ads, no setup costs, no transaction fees. Experience a fresh and easy new way to sell online by signing up at material.com today.
Welcome back to the Sports Drive, where we give you sports radio that doesn't suck.
I think that I've become a little bit
obsessed
with sports.
And we welcome you back, cruising on the Sports Drive here on Jock Journal Radio. Sean Man, Frank Sprankle, driving. I don't know. Where are we driving? Sean, help me out here. What are we driving? Are we driving? A Ferrari? Are we driving an SUV? Are we driving? You know what? SUV.
Driving whatever.
Driving whatever. You know what I've always wanted? And by the way, I probably won't get this for Christmas, but I hope to get this when I become a middle-aged man and probably require AARP. But I'm hoping to get one of those big RVs because I've been in them. I know somebody that has them. It's beautiful. I would love to have an RV and travel every major league ballpark. We'll see. I would just love an RV to take on some fishing trips. But anyway, Frank Sprinkle, Sean Man, Nash Carey behind the glass for this Thursday morning. All right, listen. I know a lot of people don't have a lot of interest in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the St. Louis Rams. I'm just curious if people in St. Louis have a lot of interest. And this may be the last game in St. Louis for Rams. We'll talk about that later on. But, Sean, we've had a couple of great Thursday night games the last 2 weeks.
I think you're right about that. You know, the Hail Mary that we saw a few weeks ago when Green Bay needed to win that.
You're right.
And then last Thursday, a game that the Vikings should have tied ended up in heartbreak for them, which really doomed their slight playoff hopes. But if you look at where we're at right now, you know, you're looking at a number of teams that are actually, the way I look at it is that this game kind of is important for tonight when we think about it. The reason why I'm saying that is because look at what we have coming in store right now. And what I'm trying to say is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers know that they have to win this game tonight. And, of course, I'm not going to make my pick until we get maybe into the third hour. But this is a game that's huge for Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith has really done a great job with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. You said it, Frank, before the season began, that, you got to give the Buccaneers maybe not this year, but maybe a few years, and they'll be back. They may still have a chance get in maybe as a playoff team. They've got to hope that. So, well, the only way it's going to work is that Seattle or Minnesota collapses. They have a monumental collapse, but highly unlikely, though.
Highly unlikely. 6 and 7. All right, Sean. Monumental collapse. I mean, it could happen. If so, it would be a huge monumental collapse. But you got two teams in the 5 and 6 spot right now. In Seattle at 5, Minnesota at 6. That are both 8 and 5 overall. Right behind them is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 6 and 7. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are just one of 4 teams at 6 and 7. You got the Buccaneers, the Falcons, the Eagles, the Giants. You got half of the NFC East, that mediocre NFC East that's in contention. But look, when you're 6 and 7, you got teams looking at 8 and 5. Let's face fact. It doesn't look good. In fact, it looks pretty bad. It looks bleak. Look, I'm penciling right now Seattle and Minnesota with 3 weeks to go in the season that they are going to head into the playoffs unless one of these teams loses all their games the rest of the way and Tampa Bay, Atlanta, or somebody wins the rest of it.
You know what? The way I look at it, you know what? Cancel out Atlanta. The Falcons will not make the playoffs. The Falcons cancel out Atlanta. The Falcons are not good enough, and they are a disastrous team. They don't have it. They got off to a great start at like 5-0, Now they're a team that just doesn't look the best right now. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers may have a chance, but you know what? It's a sign of things to come for that Buccaneers team with what Lovie Smith is trying to do down there in Tampa Bay. A Buccaneers team that has not won a playoff game since they won the Super Bowl back in January